Hello everyone, so let's get started. My name is Justin Diaconescu, and I oversee the development and the operations of WIPO's patent database and the PATENTSCOPE web system. And I'm going to present today the non-patent literature coverage in PATENTSCOPE. So let me share my screen, my presentation. Okay, so what's the definition, for those of you who are not aware of, what's the definition of a non-patent literature? So non-patent literature is defined as scientific publications, technical standards, conference presentations, clinical trials, books, manuals, technical or research reports, or any other technical scientific material. These documents are considered technically relevant to the patent granting procedure and are cited along with other patents related to the same subject matter. In PATENTSCOPE, we started to add non-patent literature data since 2020. And we are covering 4 big non-patent literature data collections, such as IEEE, MDPI, Nature, and Wikipedia. This is the page that is showed on the screen, is the data coverage page that you can find in PATENTSCOPE. You have the link on the slide. And this page is updated weekly to reflect the new additions. So you get how many records, how many articles are included in PATENTSCOPE, and the date range of this coverage. So the first data source is Wikipedia. As everybody knows, Wikipedia is the largest crowdsourced online encyclopedia. And in PATENTSCOPE, you can find 60,000 relevant articles which are relevant to the patent domain, and they were crawled once, and since then there are no incremental updates in place for the time being. We're planning to update the Wikipedia coverage in the very near future. The MDPI data source, Multidisciplinary Digital Publishing Institute, this is the abbreviation of what it stands for. It's a publisher of open access scientific journals. Founded by Shu-Kun Lin as a chemical sample archive, it publishes now over 390 peer-reviewed open access journals. MDPI is among the largest publishers in the world in terms of journal article output, and is the largest publisher of open access articles. The headquarters is in Basel, Switzerland. In PATENTSCOPE, we crawled and indexed almost 600,000 articles with a date range from 1998 to 2026. Another data source, NPL data source, is Nature. Nature Publishing Group is a division of the international scientific publishing company Springer Nature that publishes academic journals, magazines, online databases, and services in science and medicine. In PATENTSCOPE, we crawled around 150,000 articles from 1975 to 2023. The last data source, NPL data source, that we host in PATENTSCOPE is the IEEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, which is a professional association for electronics engineering, electrical engineering, and other related disciplines with the corporate office in New York. The IEEE was formed in 1963. It claims to produce over 30% of the world's literature in the electrical, electronics, and computer engineering fields, publishing approximately 200 peer-reviewed journals and magazines. The published content in these journals, as well as the content from several hundred annual conferences sponsored by IEEE, are available in the IEEE Electronic Library and is available for subscription-based access and individual publication purchases. In PATENTSCOPE, we crawled almost 5 million articles from IEEE from 1892 to 2023, up to date, actually. There is one big thing to know about IEEE is that there are paid articles and published articles. In PATENTSCOPE, we are able to index the paid articles, which are subscription-based, and as well as the publisher articles. But you cannot see the content of those articles. So sometimes the article shows up as a result of your search, but you don't see why, because the content, in order to see the content, you have to go on the IEEE website and get a subscription for that. How are we getting the data from these four non-patent literature data sources? So we developed a homemade crawler for all the public data, Wikipedia, MDPI, Nature, and IEEE. So the crawler is launched weekly, and it incrementally adds data to our database, to our index, our PATENTSCOPE index. The IEEE protected articles, we're getting them via the FTP site. We also developed a filter, in-house developed filter that filters out all the non-patent related articles based on a keyword criteria. How we process the non-patent literature data once we are getting all the data on our servers. So we add an IPC classification, an IPC code to all the articles based on artificial intelligence classifier developed in-house. We also add the following searchable fields to the index. The CTR, so this is the country or the office of the non-patent literature data, and by default for all the non-patent literature articles, this is ZZ. The publication date of the article, the publisher, PU, which is NDPI, IEEE, Wikipedia, or Nature, the electronic journal, GO, the IPC code, as I said, which is automatically assigned by our classifier, and the AU field, which is the author or the authors, and is also assimilated into the inventor field IN. So how you process non-patent literature search in PATENTSCOPE? So you have to go to the advanced search. So you have the link on the slide, on the bottom of the slide, and also in PATENTSCOPE you go to the menu and you select the advanced search form, and in the advanced search form you have to select the NPL checkbox that is at the bottom of the form. So by default, this is unselected, so you have to select that checkbox. You enter your search criteria, and you hit the search button. Also, I advise you to, in the settings, to select the two fields that will be displayed in the Analysis tab. These are the publisher and the journal field. By default, they are not selected, but it's very good in order to see to have a better view of the result list, to have also those fields selected. If you are logged into the system, you can save that setting in your profile. So once you hit the search button, so this is the search criteria is electric car. You can see that at the top of the slide. You get the Analysis tab, but by default it's not displayed. You have to hit the icon that's on the left of the top menu in the result list. And in that analysis table, you can see that the first column is the countries or the offices. So the second entry is the non-patent literature data, and there are around 10,000 records for the electric car search criteria. So one thing that you can see already is that the non-patent literature is mixed with all the patent literature data. So the result list is a combination of both data sources, patent and non-patent data. The third column is the inventors, which I said also contains the authors. So in that column you can find also authors for non-patent literature data. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The fifth column is the publisher. Of course, we have 4 publishers. You can see them with the number of records, number of articles per publisher that were relevant to that search, and the journals where those articles were published. You can select only the non-patent literature entry in the Analysis tab, and that moment you filter out all the patent data, and in your result list you left only with the non-patent literature data. So now this is an example of bibliographic data of non-patent literature article, which comes from the IEEE publisher. And you can see that the bibliographic data contains the publisher, the journal, the publication number, which is an internal number but also contains some identifier from the publisher, the publication date, the IPC code that were automatically assigned, the authors, the title, the abstract, the link that brings you directly to the publisher and where the original you can find the original article, and the license. In this case, as you can see, there is no full text data. So that means this is a paid article. So in order to see the content of this article, you have to go to the IEEE website and to subscribe to one of their subscriptions to get the content of this article. If the article was public at that moment in this form, you will see also the full text tab along with NPL bibliodata. You'll have I'll show an example later on, and at that moment, because the article is public, you can also consult the full text data associated with that article. There is something that I like to mention about the IEEE data. This is the publication date. Unfortunately, we captured the publication date of the paper version of IEEE. So sometimes that could be in the future, and even though the article was published on their website, the publication date that you can see in our bibliodata reflects the paper publication. So sometimes could be in the future. So this is something that we will address in the very near term to fix that issue. This is an bibliographic data of a Wikipedia article about electric car, so the definition of electric car, of course, very useful. And in this case, of course, because the Wikipedia data is public, you will get the full text associated with that entry in the Wikipedia database. As I said, we started adding non-patent literature data collections in PATENTSCOPE since 2020. In 2023, we added IEEE, and we plan on adding new collections. For the time being, we don't have any new future collections in the pipeline, but we're working to get new publishers on the board. So this concludes my my presentation today. So because there is a short webinar, so I will do a quick live demo of what I explained in my slides. So at that moment I can show you directly how to how to interact with the PATENTSCOPE website. So let me open up my browser. So PATENTSCOPE, you can find PATENTSCOPE by typing patentscope.wipo.int and you hit enter and you get to the PATENTSCOPE entry page, which is the simple search form. So if you use that directly, the non-patent literature data won't be included in the result list. So as I said, you have to go to the advanced search. And in advanced search, at the bottom, you have a NPL checkbox. So you need to click that in order to include the non-patent literature data. And as I said in the settings, it's a good practice to go to the result tab and to include the publisher and the journal fields. Okay, and let's do an electric car search. I hit enter, and as I said, you have to, it's better to click the analysis so you get an overview of the data that you get in the result list. And the first column is the countries or the offices, and the second entry you see the non-patent literature, 10,800 records, articles. So I click on that one, so to filter out all the patent data and to keep only the non-patent data. So the third column is the inventors or the authors, the IPC code, which were assigned to the non-patent literature, the publication dates, the publisher, and the journal. So as I said, you click on the first article is a IEEE article, and as you see, there is no full text data, only the citations, which actually are the references that you find in the IEEE. And if you click on the link, you go directly to the IEEE, to that article. And here you have a link. You contact IEEE to subscribe to see the full text associated to this article. But of course, in PATENTSCOPE, as I said, the full text is indexed. So if electric car was present in the full text, you will get the article as a hit in your result list. So let's go back to the result list and maybe select another article, a Wikipedia article. And here you have the description, which is the full text of the article associated with the entry in the Wikipedia database. Of course, the same you have the same bibliographic data. So if you like to filter out only the Wikipedia data, only to keep the Wikipedia data, so you can enter your search criteria, publisher, Wikipedia, and at that moment you restrict your result list only to the Wikipedia articles entries. So this is very easy to combine the Wikipedia with patent literature. So at that moment, you have to, of course, this is publisher Wikipedia, so that restricts the data to Wikipedia. Yeah, so I can combine to say the electric car and CTR. I would like to get non-patent literature and PCT data, or PCT data, sorry. At that moment, so I have two data sources. I have the non-patent literature and PCT data. So my result list contains the relevant entries from these two data sources. So this is how you can combine easily the non-patent literature with the patent data. So what else can I show you? So of course, if you log in into the portal, into the PATENTSCOPE, so this is by using a login that you create with the WIPO website, so which is valid afterwards all over the different WIPO web systems. So at that moment you can save your searches, you can save your settings, so are different options that are available to you once you logged into the system. You can perform chemical searches, so you have more features available to you once you are logged into the system. So this concludes my webinar. So now I open the floor to questions. So please put your questions in the question and answers chat box, and I'll read them out and try to answer all of them. So first question, is it possible to export the article metadata even if it's paid version? I don't know if you actually, let me see that, do we, yeah, I think this is possible. Yeah, this is possible, but I need to check that, I'm not sure. Of course, you cannot export the content of the paid data, but the article metadata, I think it's possible to put that in your download list. Another question is, please expand on the IPC classification method. Does IAI suggest a mark to the subgroup level on main group only? Is it reasonable to allocate subgroup marks based on only the title abstract, not the full text? I have to come back to that question. I'm not really aware of how the classifier, our artificial intelligence-based classifier works. If I remember well, I think it does consider also the full text of the entry, not only the abstract and the title. And of course, I I need to get more information about the accuracy of the classifier, and if it's reasonable to go to the subgroup level or only keep the main group level only. So this is Stephen Adams who put that question. So I will come back to Stephen with more details about the IPC AI-based classifier. So another question is the search done within the full text of the paper or only the public abstract? So you can do this by default. The search, when you enter, as I entered the electric art, is performed all over the fields, the title, the abstract, and the full text. And of course, you can limit your search to only one of the fields, like the title or the abstract or the full text. But by default, is performed against all the fields, concatenated. Can you search the title of a journal? Of course. So that is, as I said, JO. Semicolon, and you put the name of the journal, and that is a search criteria that would give all the articles of that journal. Would you please show a simple chemical structure search? Yeah, I'm sorry, but this is it's going to be we have a webinar just for, I mean, this is a completely different webinar. Is not that easy to explain a simple chemical search query, and I encourage you to enroll for the chemical searches webinars. What does ZZ stands for? So ZZ is the country code associated to all the non-patent literature data. So if you do CTR semicolon ZZ, you get only non-patent literature. Otherwise, if you do CTR semicolon WO, that means you get PCT data. CTR semicolon US means you get the USPTO data, and so forth. There is in the help, I encourage you to go to the help, and it's very well explained all the country codes and how you can use them. It seems to me that Wikipedia is not recommended because any editor can modify the information, and information is constantly being modified, and precise reference over time is not easy. Of course, the non-patent literature is provided only, is not precise information, it's only helpful for your searches. I mean, definitely you need to keep in mind that Wikipedia articles could change. I have a question regarding the identification of granted and published patents. As we don't have any options to separately identify the patents that are granted. Actually, there are options. I mean, there is a search that you can do that to get only the patents that are granted in PATENTSCOPE. So maybe, as you may be aware, in PATENTSCOPE we group the applications and granted patent under the same record. And so one entry in the result list could be a application, could be a granted patent, or could be both application and granted patent grouped under the same record. And there is a field where you can specify its DTY field, so you can get that in the help is the list of available fields. And DTY, if you put DTI semicolon B, you get only the granted patents in the result list. This is well explained in the help. So again, this is a we have a specific webinar that addresses these kind of questions. Can I use publication date of Wikipedia for an infringement? We don't do that kind of things in WIPO at least not in PATENTSCOPE. So I really am not the good person to answer this kind of questions. So I think you need to address some other people that are more familiar with infringement cases. Okay, some questions repeat. What is WO ZZ CTR? So WO stands for WIPO data. CTR is a field name. So if you put CTR semicolon WO as a search criteria, that means you select only the PCT data in your result list. So you need to go to the help and to see the list of available searchable fields. So another question about IEEE articles. They are classified under IPC on the basis of the free data, title and abstract, not on the paid for data. Again, this is something that I need to check with my colleagues, and I come back. These questions come from Stephen Adams. So again, Stephen, I come back to with more details about the classifier, the IPC classifier. Another question, my question related to the search within the full text is because some papers are not public. Does the PATENTSCOPE has access search within the full text of non-public papers? Yeah, that's the case for IEEE. We index non-public papers, but we don't display the data, but the data is indexed. Wikipedia is edited on the fly by many people, whereas most commercial journals are fixed once published, whether online or in print. How do we know what version of the text is being searched at any given time? Yeah, that's a good question. It's a good point. We don't have the date, the exact date of the snapshot of the article. So this is something that I will take back and check with my colleagues and try to find to communicate that on the PATENTSCOPE website, which version of the article was indexed. Another question, is the search conducted based on English language only? For the time being, the non-patent literature the content is only in English. But in PATENTSCOPE, we have this facility, translation facility, so as known as the WIPO Translate, built upon our translation, artificial intelligence translation system. And you can translate from English in any other languages, the full text or the bibliographic data of the non-patent literature. So I see there are no more questions. So thank you very much. So if there are any questions, I advise you to, I encourage you to send us an email to patentscope@wipo.int. So thank you very much for your time and for your attention, and see you next time. Bye bye.